Let's talk wire strippers available at Harbor Freight. We've got a selection of 4 here. We've got the Pittsburgh stripper cutters, the self-adjusting, the 4-ways, and the Crimp Tool. These are all available at Harbor Freight for between $4.99 and $9.99. Different functions for different needs. We'll start out with the stripper wire cutters. Just got these the other day. Pretty easy, pretty basic. They have a lock, unlock it. You can fit your wire in. Got to select your size. Tool feels pretty stiff, pretty sharp. Pulls it out. Good clean cut. It's a pretty sharp tool. It's a pretty stiff tool. Not thin and flexible like some of these other wire strippers. Pretty good. It'll strip. It'll strip when you select your size. It'll cut right there, and it's got a little bit of a crimp tool, I think, up front here. Not very good, but strip, cut, pretty good, pretty sharp, pretty stiff little tool. Now that is the stripper cutter, 61586 or 98410. Pretty good little tool, not a bad price at $4.99 plus the 20% off. Next up is the self-adjusting 36810. These are available for $9.99 before the 20% off. 20% puts them at $8. Pretty stiff tool, pretty good. Grips pretty tight, pretty solid. A little bit of adjustment in here. Allows you to adjust the location, I believe, or the tension of the stripper. Feed your wire in. It grabs, strips. Sometimes you got to go a little adjustment on them. Get a little tighter. A little more to get it to feed tight. Even more. It's pretty tight. Normally what I do is when I hit these, I'll grab it with my finger a little bit. It's a little awkward to operate. Wow. Let's see, let's give that a shot. This is a tough wire. Let's try a different wire. It's a little bit softer insulation, excuse me. This one's pretty good. Hits it good. It's got a wire cutter in the center. It's got some crimping functions in here, insulation and terminals. So pretty good, not bad, pretty stiff tool. Works. Generally, I used to prefer these. I use these a lot. I think this is probably my go-to wire stripper. Self-adjusting. You don't have to select the wire size. You just stick it in and go, and it crimps and it cuts it. So good tool, not bad. $8 with the 20% off. Next up is the 4-way stripper cutter. Okay, this one, a lot thinner, much more flexible tool. Have some issues with these. When you go to strip, they don't necessarily align up well. When you go to strip and pull, you see it wants to, just like scissors, wants to bind up, wants to skip over. Still works, does the job. Definitely not as solid, definitely not as stiff a tool. It's flexible. It's very thin in your hands. You can see how thin that is. Just for comparison, I have one I bought at Walmart a while back. You can see the thickness difference. A little bit more expensive at Walmart, but this one was a heavier, better stripper cutter. I've used this one for a while. I find pretty good. Got a lot of functions. Strips really well. But this is the one available at Harbor Freight. Pretty thin, pretty flexible. Hard to give it a recommendation. Thicker ones, if you can find a thicker and heavier ones, like these available at Walmart, much better stripper cutters. Last up is the Crimping Tool. This is available at Harbor Freight. This is a 9.5-inch crimp tool, 36411. Available for $6.99. There's your parts. Available for $6.99 before your 20% off. This is a pretty good little tool. I use it strictly for crimping. It does have a cutter on the tip. It will cut. Won't strip. So you got to come back and strip. Go to my self-adjusting. Strip it. Let's put a terminal on the end. Feed a little terminal on there. It's a tiny terminal, pretty small. Go into your crimpers. Pretty good little crimp. This is a solid tool, pretty heavy. definitely does a good job. Solid, gives you a lot more crimping force than any of your other tools, like your self-adjusting crimpers and your 4-ways. This is definitely the best one to go as far as if you want to do some heavy crimping, some heavy terminals. Pretty good size. You can see the diameters you can get out of it. Good tool. So all in all, between the 4, you got your stripper cutters available for $4.99. You got your 4-ways, pretty thin, really can't give them a recommendation. That's $4.49 before coupon. Then your self-adjusting, great tool. I use it a lot. This has pretty much been my go-to. It'll do thin wires, thick wires, fairly soft insulation. As you saw, when you get to some harder insulation, it's a little bit more of an issue. Crimper, awesome. Definitely want one in your toolbox. If you want to put crimps, if you want to put connectors on or butt splices that don't come apart, that's a good tool to have. So all in all, Harbor Freight wire strippers, cutters, and crimpers. Remember, if you're shopping, use your Ibotta app at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's to get your cash back. Link is below. As always, Harbor Freight, here's your parts, here's your tools. Good tools to have. Wire strippers, cutters, and crimpers.